It's a debut episode on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. It is one of our new series that we're doing. One of maybe many, who knows? Certainly one of many of this, which is From the Vault. I'm going to be your host for this, as generally I'm host for everything, Adam Cousins, but I'm joined by another one. Well, our newbie, who's doing well so far. He's survived his first top 10 list. He's got another one coming up very, very soon. But he's going to join me as we take a trip from the vault. It is Mr. Michael Jolly. Michael, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, brilliant. So if you've been watching before, the background's now changed. My nameplate's changed. My initiation was doing a top 10, which will already be out by now. And because it was all good, my nameplate is now official. So it's now Michael Jolly hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, and the background's the same as Adam's. So I am now properly part of the family. So it's all brilliant. Yes.
It is,
Yeah, I'm
and
good.
you are
I'm good.
good. I'm glad. And yes, you've passed your probation or whatever you want to call it, initiation. Top 10 was, well, it's better than Dave's. Some of Dave's ones were shocking, but no, it's good. It's
Ah,
good.
right.
Just have to go through some of them, the ones that we've done in the past with Dave, and you'll see that he's had a few dodgy ones, did Dave. But he's good, lad. Dave's good. You would have seen him as well on a some recent episode. Dave does a couple of episodes, other episodes this week in wrestling. Normally, me and Dave cover off the week, but and you'll still see Dave, of course, and Fiona, and now you'll be seeing a lot more of Michael as well. Thankfully, so I can have somebody else to talk to and annoy. But today, as I said, it's a debut episode and it's from the vault. So one of the things I really wanted to do, and I thought was a great idea. I was trawling through YouTube like you do, to look for things and look for ideas. And I saw this YouTube channel called WCW. It's like, well, what the hell was that all about? And anyway, I looked at it and they were uploading videos of old school. They've got some nitros on there. They've got the rise and fall of WCW, I think, has just been added on there. And they've taken them back into the WCW vault of old school shows. And I thought, well, this would be great to have two experienced heads going back. We're old, right? So we're
Speak for yourself.
experienced, Michael.
Speak
That's
for
how it
yourself.
works, right? Going through the archives, and we're going to start with the very first Clash of the Champions from Greensboro, North Carolina. And the interesting one about this one, Michael, it went head to head with WrestleMania.
Yes. So throughout 1987 and 88, a bit of event schedule war broke out between rival promoters Vince McMahon and Jim Cornette Jr. Um, McMahon basically created Survivor Series to rival Starcade,
Yep.
and that's where it all started. They were showing them on the same days, and basically Vince McMahon from that point basically stated to any cable operator, you show our product, otherwise you do not see or get any of our products in the future. Basically blackmailing them into providing putting their product onto his product onto the cables providing networks, shutting out anybody else. So this one that we're going to be watching or reviewing, my apologies, which we both watched, was the very first Clash of the Champions. Now this came about because Crockett, my apologies, decided to give Vince a bit of a taste of his own medicine, so it would rival on the same day WrestleMania 4. He aired his own supercard for free on TBS on March the 27th, 1988. Again, as I said, the same night as WrestleMania, which culminated in the first Clash caliber, which, as we go through it for a free show, it is absolutely stacked from top to bottom, which ended up seeing Sting face Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and basically cemented Sting as a superstar for the future.
You
So
did.
yeah,
It certainly did. And this, it was for a free show. It drew a 5.6 rating on TBS. So that's an interesting. But of course, we're going to be doing ratings as well, per match ratings on this. Now you see some ratings elsewhere, probably biased to the company that they like at the time. Well, this is going to be a totally unbiased rating from
Oh
both of
yeah,
us.
absolutely.
At the end of this, we're going to give us our. We could agree, we could disagree, we could be close, we could be far out. It depends on what we like and what we thought of the match. One of the things I picked up on, I mean, obviously the quality of the wasn't great in terms of very. It was 6,000 people there and it was sold out. Um, it just didn't come across great from a visual aspect,
No,
did
no,
it?
it's no. I mean, to be honest, if you watch the program, it looks more than 6,000 because of how
Yeah,
they've done the lighting. They've
yeah,
done the traditional blanking out certain lighting so it makes
yeah,
it look bigger. The crowd are massive, as in the sound, the amount of crowd noise that there was over the top. Again, this was before piping in mute sound, and
yeah.
you thought that there was more, but completely agree. Unfortunately, I don't know if it was down to how it was set up or regulations and that, but some of the camera cuts and some of the way that they were showing the matches on the show wouldn't be the first choice that I would do. There's a lot of camera angles showing the whole layout. So obviously how it looks is it's your traditional go down to the your rings in the middle, and then you've got your crowd around it, and then you've got your crowd above. But with the camera cuts on certain areas being where it is, especially when you've got the commentary away from the ringside, it does look a lot emptier than it should do. And again, because it's 6,000, it is a big crowd for where they were, which was in Greensboro, North Carolina, and in '88 that is a lot as in regards to crowd because again it's North Carolina, so a lot of people will all be there. But I do agree with it's just aesthetically, it was just missing something. Now, whether that would be TBS or whether that would be NWA or obviously um, the inklings of WCW in there, I don't know. It's unfortunately it's something that we will not know unless we actually speak to the people. But yes, it was just missing. It wasn't as polished. Now I know
No.
again it's '88, so it's not going to be as polished as how WCW was in the mid to late
Mm.
'90s. WWF, WWE is now, and even then. But yeah, I just thought there was a little bit of shine off of it. However, the card was I really enjoyed the card, which we'll go through. It was my first time actually ever watching this
Mm.
show, and I was very pleasantly surprised with the caliber of matches and the quality of the matches that were on there. What about
Yeah,
yourself?
definitely so. Yeah, definitely. I thought it was a good show, all in all. Love the start. The start, but there was asking questions throughout as the love video package at the start plays. Was asking questions like, "Is this going to be Sting's time?" and all of this sort of stuff. Obviously, Sting at this point was the up and comer, and Ric Flair was still really experienced in the '80s, and it's ridiculous to think that even up until a couple of years ago he was still wrestling. But
Yeah,
let's just get straight to good old young looking Jim Ross as well, Shivani as well. But yeah, good look for Jim Ross. But anyway, the first match was quite interesting. This was for the NWA World Television Championship,
yeah,
but it was contested under amateur rules.
yeah. College rules, yes.
Yes, which
Which
go.
No,
Go
no.
on.
That was something I wasn't expecting. It was literally three rounds of 5 minutes,
Yeah,
and it wasn't even a three count. It was whoever got the first count first. So
yes,
literally no 1, 2, 3. It was just literally you pin someone and it's one. That's
one.
you done.
That
And
is
that
it.
I've never seen that before. I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, very young Teddy Long was the referee.
It's gonna.
Um,
Yeah. Uh,
um, it was just I've never so we saw gorgeous Jimmy Garvin versus Mike Rotunda. Obviously in WWE, WWF, we know him as IRS,
yeah.
and he was with Kevin Sullivan,
Yes.
and the crowd absolutely loved gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. It was so over. Again, it was my first time ever watching him.
Mm.
And he had it. You could see that the reason why people liked him. I just love watching it again. Loving the hair, the 80s hair from everyone.
Yeah.
He looked very much like Michael P. Hayes
Yeah.
from their
Freebirds.
time, from the
Yeah.
Freebirds. Yeah, the long hair. He was just so over. And then you had Mike Rotunda coming down in his in essence his college gear. So
Yeah.
it just literally looked like he was a jock from high school,
Yeah.
but in his what he would have been in his late 30s, early 40s at this point potentially. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. I just thought as an opening match, especially for a world NWA World Championship, TV Championship, I thought it was actually a really, really good match to get people invested in.
I think it was good for him anyways. Like obviously there was the aspect of it was 5 minute rounds, and then there was obviously the point of you have got to be so quick. If you get dropped, you got to be quick back to your feet because you're in the that as you say is literally it's the first person to get a pin for, as in a four was one count from a want of a better phrase. It weren't even a three. I just had visions of Teddy Long halfway through the match going, "You're going to go one on one with the Undertaker."
Yeah,
So, but
this match is going to go to a tag team match.
yeah. Tag team Teddy. Yeah, he would have changed it halfway through.
But as you said, when I know we'll go a little bit into this, but when it got to the end of the match and he went, and Mike Rotunda wins, I went, hang on, have I just blacked out here? Because obviously going through the college rules, I wasn't aware of it because it just said it considered sorry, it consisted of 3 5 minute rounds. It didn't
Yeah.
actually specify that it, especially for me, that it was a, a first pin fall.
Mm.
And I were expecting, obviously, because of growing up the way I did, I were expecting it to be 1 2 3, as we were saying. But
Yeah.
I thought I'd blacked out at some point. I said, have I got this wrong or something? But yeah, I absolutely loved it. I mean, I loved the cheap shots during the rest period
Yeah.
after the first match from Mike
Yeah.
Rotunda. Um, it didn't go very long. It went for about 7 minutes. So we got
Mm.
what the first fall, and then halfway through the second fall, Sullivan got up onto the side apron to try and interfere in the match. Rick Stein then came down,
Yeah.
got into the ring, and got smacked on the back by Jimmy Garvin's valet.
Yeah.
And then she then got a coat hanger and started choking Sullivan out.
Good
And
old Precious.
yeah, it was just nuts. But I absolutely loved it. I was very invested, and it kept me invested in it. What about
It
yourself?
was, yeah, yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. It was one of those weird ones because, like you say, when you sort of down to a full, and I was a bit like you, was like, oh, okay, a full means first person to get a free count. I've seen British rules wrestling, which is pretty similar, and I was like, oh, it's going to be like that. And then every time they were dropping them, they were getting back up really quickly, and it was only I think during the first couple of sort of parts of it where they were feeling each other out, getting dropped and then bouncing back up, where they were saying they only need to get that one full, that one count, and it was over. And I was like, I had to twig early, and I was like, oh, geez, that it can end like doesn't have to be a free. What I got and throughout this whole show, not just this match, but instantly the crowd were going crazy during getting when someone was getting reversed into the ring. When like Rotunda tried to shoot Garvin into the ropes and the Garvin reversed it, that
Yeah,
reversal brought the crowd up to their feet. They were going nuts at just that, which was what was aesthetically pleasing as well. And I know we've said what wasn't so good about it, but the fact that there wasn't this during the
yeah.
show.
Do you know what? That's one thing I was going to bring up. There was no camera phones,
No,
um, and there were no signs.
no, nothing.
It was just as if someone had just turned around outside of the venue and went, "Hey, the first 6,000 people, do you want to come in and watch a wrestling match,
Yeah,
wrestling event?" And
yeah,
everyone's gone, "Yeah, okay, yeah, that's
yeah.
brilliant." But it was just so nice.
Mm,
I mean, I know we all use phones
yeah.
nowadays, but even when I go to wrestling events, I don't use my phone.
No.
Whether that's because um, I um, want to enjoy it more.
Mm,
Like yourself, we've worked behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So we don't get to use our phones. We've both done commentary. We've
Yeah.
done, as I said, we've worked behind. So we don't use phones, and because of that, and I've always wanted, especially if I'm paying like 70, 80, 90 quid for a ticket, I don't want to. I don't want to sit there with my phone in front of me because that's not enjoying it. I mean, if someone comes down to the ring, I might take like I've done it in the past where I've taken a photo of people coming into the ring from afar, but I've
Mm.
never really got my phone out and filmed it. I don't know if that's because I'm old fashioned or just because it's just not for me. I mean, like in America, when you see it now, you see people are paying 2, 3, 4 grand for a ticket, and then they
Yeah.
spend all day on the phone. It's like, why? Just
Yeah.
enjoy what you've paid for.
Especially when you're paying that amount, Jesus.
Yeah.
But you're right. Rotunda did win and retain the championship. What star rating are you going to give this?
So if we're going to go it out of 5, I
Mhm.
would. Do you know what? I look at everything. I mean, I don't really go with the traditional um David stars like nine and a half
Notices.
stars out of
Yeah.
5 and stuff like that. But for a good solid match, for everything it brought me, I would say I'd give it, if we're doing one and halves, I'll give it 3.5 out of 5.
I was going to give it a 3, so we were on the same. I just think for the it was something different. It's a good way to start. I didn't know if the crowd were going to stay hot, so I thought it was a great way to get them hot. Garvin's obviously was massively over, so yeah,
Yeah,
really good start. Really good start for this. They had a little bit of a Doctor Death interview as well before we got to the next match. But I tell you what, I thought it was something that had to top that first match. The next one, I mean, I don't like to say the word because they're a team, but the next match was literally fantastic in more ways than one.
I've, I mean, I was with the exception of the maybe a couple of more matches on, I was so invested in this.
Yeah,
So the second match we had was the US Tag Team Championship,
yeah,
Midnight Express versus the Fantastics, and the crowd were firmly behind the Fantastics, as you said.
mhm,
Regarding the first one, you thought when are this crowd's going to die down now, but it
yeah,
just kept peaking
yeah,
all the time. The crowd weren't going to quieten down. It started with the Fantastics being blindsided straight away by Midnight
they were all
Express.
over the place in
Yeah,
essence.
and pretty much for the first 5 minutes of the match, the Midnight Express just dominated with double teaming, some fantastic double teams, but from themselves. We had chair shots
Yeah,
to begin with, um, but ultimately the referee to start with struggled to keep on top.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it was just. I mean, I was so sucked into this match. It was just fantastic. What about yourself?
Oh man, do you know what? What I've missed and what I still miss now is you can't beat an old school tag team wrestling match, and this is for me, this was exactly that. Again, the crowd, but they love Cornette. They did have a little sign. They
Yeah,
had the Cornette little section, didn't they, at the start? Cornette with his little baby face at that time. Still one of the greatest. I mean, he on the microphone was awesome through this. But it started in a chaotic fashion, like you said, was all over as I was getting thrown into tables, and I'm like, Jesus, this isn't TLC. This is the Fantastics and the Midnight from the 80s. What are we doing here? But they were crazy. It was nuts. You say the ref took a while to get order
yeah,
resumed or order reserved into this match. And then it just everything about it, just like from a tag, what you're looking at that tag team, you had the great tag team work of the Midnight as well, the
yeah,
cutting the ring in half, the quick tags in and out, the isolation of a wrestler, and then you had the hot tag moment. Like I was used to talk to tag teams all the time, and they used to be like, it used to be about that hot tag you were building towards. You still see it now with the Hardys. Jeff takes a brunt of the punishment. There's the hot tag to Matt. He comes in, clears house. Jeff finishes it off with the swanton. That's how it works, and that's how
yeah,
it did work here. But there was a lot more. There was a bit more personalization about it. You could tell because we didn't really know the backstory of this,
hmm,
and the way it just kicked off. You knew that they had a lot of stuff going on prior to this, and
yes,
then I thought the ending was. they had me with the ending very briefly. So the ending, because obviously they had a ref bump in
Yeah,
this. The Midnight done the referee. They brought another ref out. The Fantastics then pinned the Midnight. The place has gone nuts at this point, thinking that the change has happened. And the referee was, I think, was Randy Anderson. I think the one that got
yeah,
knocked out came back from being knocked out and disqualified the
yeah,
Midnight, but then keeping the championships.
yeah. As you said, it was just. I mean, Midnight Express worked very good as heels.
Mm,
Um, we got that we got that pin attempt by the Fantastics beforehand, where the crowd went nuts,
yeah,
and they only got a two. Um, I thought that there was a bulldog on the outside
yeah,
with a table, and Rogers of the Fantastics um, trying to get the tag, but isn't seen. So obviously the ref is there going, "No, I didn't see it. You've got to
yeah,
go back." So obviously Midnight Express are working the partner over.
yeah.
Um, then we got the infamous, which is synonymous with Cornet. Cornet hits the wrong man, so he hits one of his own
Yeah,
clients with a tennis racket. There was a lovely double team for the win, but as you said, was reversed purely because, um, as you said, so what had happened, as you were saying, is that it got all chaotic in the match. Um, so Bobby Eaton was sorry, my apologies. So Bobby Fulton had thrown Randy Anderson over the top rope. Now at the time, um, over the top rope was an automatic disqualification, um, whether that be wrestlers or anybody. So because of that, he got thrown out, and then the Fantastics went for the pin. 1, 2, 3 by the other referee. It was they'd won. They'd done it. However, as you said, uh, Anderson then comes back in and says, "No, I'm disqualifying him because you throw me over the top rope," and awarded the match and the win back to the Midnight Express, of which they were ecstatic about, and Cornette was very much enthralled because he knew that his team hadn't won the belt. And I just thought that last 2 minutes of wrestling was just so well done. Yeah, just it was just incredible match, and really brought me in, especially being a very high quality match and a high caliber match after bringing you in with the first match, the first one with Rotunda and that. I thought it was very good. Yeah,
definitely. I gave it 4.5 stars. This one. It was-
I'll agree with you. I think yeah, it did what it said and delivered more. Um, and yeah, I would if they won, I'd say five.
yeah, exactly that. And then
but but then again, do you know what? I wasn't bothered about him not winning because the story and the match itself was just such a high caliber match that yeah, I wasn't bored, or they just kept me going. Yeah.
and then how do they then? So you have this. You have the old school match, and then you have this great tag team match, and then you know they see, well, how do we keep this crowd invested in hot? Oh, I just have a Texas barbed wire match between Dusty Rhodes and the Road Warriors against Ivan Koloff and the Powers of Pain. Oh my God, what a fight that was!
I know it was a crazy match to follow. Um, Genuinely, if we'd have looked down the card, if it weren't for the last match, I would have put the barbed wire match on as your main event.
Yeah,
But the fact that you had this, now this came about due to things that had happened previous days and
yeah,
weeks beforehand. So they needed a blow off match, which is as you said. So it was a 6-man Texas barbed wire match, but it was also classed as a Chicago street fight.
yeah.
But and as you said, yes, so we had Road Warriors versus Ivan Koloff, Barbarian and Warlord. And the only so I did the one thing I always love when commentators say this: it has no rules but a pinfall.
So there's a rule.
So it has a rule. Sorry, I'm being panicky. I know we
It's
always
true.
have it's like an unsanctioned match, but we have a pinfall. But it always tickles me. So, but I it was just carnage from start to finish.
Yeah, it was the best way to describe it. They were throwing each other into barbed wire. They were doing everything. I mean, obviously, Dust. You know what Dusty's like. He's all over. He's just cry. I mean, having him pairing. He had the face paint on the Legion of Doom, and oh, what a Road
You had the
Warriors
Road
here.
Warriors wearing hockey masks,
Yeah,
um, of which at the end one it gets kicked off of him
yeah.
after the match is over. But I mean, the first team of Roads and Road Warriors win
Mm,
ultimately. Um, Unfortunately, we don't know where that went from unless it goes on to the next Clash of the Champions. But it was just literally a 6 7 minute. Everyone paired off with each other and just did their bits, did the things, and then every so often brought them into the barbed wire. And yeah, it was just car crash, but a good car crash.
was it me or did Dusty Rose not take a single bump during that match?
I don't think he did. I don't think he did. He was literally in the corner doing this with the head into the barbed wire. I think I was gonna say I think everyone else did the bumps, but I don't know if that was down. I don't know if that was down to if he had an injury, a so-called injury beforehand,
Mm,
or whether he actually the reason why they did this was because it was to keep him safe and not do as much work when, especially
yeah,
when you see it now when they put them in people in tag teams if they're working injured, they make sure, like as you said before regarding the whole tag teaming, let
yeah,
someone else do all the work. So I'm not 100% sure, but if there was something more underliningly um, to worry about, it was covered because
yeah.
of what was going on. So
Certainly was
um,
covered.
yeah,
I
yeah,
I only gave it three, and the reason why is I thought it was very quick for a Texas Death barbed wire text match. I know it's barbed wire rope, so I know that's so there's a I know there has to be an element of can't go
safety. Yeah,
25 minutes, yeah. But I just thought you probably could have done double that time. It,
I I gave it 2.5.
okay,
Um,
cool, yeah,
so yes, it did what it said. What it did what it said on the tin it was going to do, but it went. It didn't need to be a 6 man tag.
no,
I think as you said, if if Rhodes was injured, I understand and agree with what they've done because they need to do like a blow off match.
mm,
But I don't think it needed to be a 6 man tag. Um, and I would have preferred it to be just a street fight than a barbed wire
yeah,
because when you look at the match and you see how they do it, they don't tie it tight to the rope. They just loosen it around
yeah,
so you're not going to get the harm. Now, I'm not saying I'm big into death matches or anything like that, or barbed wire matches or anything, but and also it's going to be on free TV, so they've
yeah,
got to be careful. So I would have just I would have given it more if it had just been a street fight, and it went everywhere because all six of them were in the ring at once, and it kept taking you gaze off of each of them. So
mm,
you were losing your focus, and I think it, as I said, I think it could have been better. Um, but yeah, I go with a 2.5. I'll push it and say yeah, I'll agree with you on a 3. Um, uh, and that's for me that's generous just because of
yeah,
what it was.
yeah, exactly that. Just because I was, but in from there. Semi-main event, once
Yeah.
again, NWA World Tag Team Championship match. This was the Four Horsemen, Tully and Arn, and Tully Blanchard, obviously, and Arn Anderson against Lex Luger and Barry Windham. Young-looking Lex Luger as well,
Yes.
should we say? And
You say young looking Lex Luger, he still looks like he's in his 40s.
yeah, yes, he does. It's weird, isn't they? I remember they said they showed you this video of Hulk Hogan once, and they say well he was like 34 then, and I was like there was no difference between what I saw then and it was ridiculous. But yeah, you're right. It's like a younger looking Lex that still looked 40 years old. But I tell you what, though, they worked the package's knee really good in this. And what I
Yes.
liked about this, I know we talk about old school tag team wrestling, but what I did love about the Horsemen is that they took advantage of a body part and they went for it and they picked it apart and picked it apart and picked it apart. And then I spoke about it earlier on about it's about that hot tag because that place exploded when Luger got the tag to Wyndham in after all the punishment he was taking.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I absolutely, even though I was quite new to WCW in the 80s, especially as we talked about on one of our previous videos, over in the UK, we only got to see WCW and WWF at the time,
Yeah.
pretty much from the early 90s. But I knew of the Four Horsemen, and the Four Horsemen as a faction was just beautiful. It was just perfect. The teaming of Anderson and Blanchard was just perfect. I absolutely loved this match from top to bottom. I didn't care who won. I genuinely didn't, because it, again, same with like the other matches, it brought me in. It made me invest in this. Um, but as you said, the the teaming of Blanchard and Anderson worked really well,
Mm.
isolating body parts, isolating the ring, making sure that at the time Luger didn't get the tag, and then every time you thought he was going to get the tag, it was taken away from him, and then when he finally got the tag for sorry, when Wyndham finally got the tag to give on Luger, the crowd absolutely erupted. Um, and then we saw the near pin
Yeah.
from Wyndham with the sleeper on the outside to Tully. I thought that was beautifully done. Um, and Anderson hitting that beautiful spine buster on
Ah,
Wyndham
we
for,
can't
for
not have a match without Double A
no,
hitting the spine buster.
no, for Wyndham to then kick out at two. It was just as it's like anything. I mean, unfortunately, to me, finishers, signature moves, if how whatever you want to call them, however you want to call them, are should be sacred. Nobody kicked out of the Hulk
Mm.
Hogan uh, leg drop. No one kicked out of the Tombstone pile driver. No one broke the Bret Hart sharpshooter,
Mm.
but only save it for perfect times just to work. Don't overdo it. And I thought this was beautiful. Now, I'm a big fan of Arn Anderson. I've watched a lot of his matches. Not very many people kicked out of that spine buster because
No.
he delivered it in such a way that you felt the impact and it would basically take all the air out of you. But I thought Wyndham's kick out was just beautifully timed. And yeah, I mean, even Tully hitting that slingshot suplex for the two
Yeah.
count, that was beautiful as well.
Yeah.
With Jim Ross leading you in, saying, "Oh, it's infamous move, so you know it's going to build from that," and then only getting a two, and they just work so well together. Yeah,
Yeah. And it went quite crazy at the end. All four men got in the ring at the end, and then JJ Dillon held up a chair into the corner, expecting Arn Anderson to drive Luger into it, but Luger reverses it. Arn
yeah,
Anderson goes into it. Luger hooks the leg, and they get the one, the two, the three, and knock off the then NWA World Tag Team Champions, the Four Horsemen, lose those championships to Luger and Wyndham, which I thought was great. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
um, yeah, I agree. I would have given it a five if the finish what didn't include the chair.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I would have given it a five. I know why the chair was there.
yeah.
It's the way that they had to finish it to put over the champions
Mm,
with a screwy finish. But from start to finish, I just absolutely love this match. As you said, um, just just beautiful all the way through. Lex getting the tag earlier on and dominating. Um, hitting him with the lariat and then putting him into the torture rack
Yeah,
was beautifully done. Obviously, at this time he was quite young, and the people he was using it on, um, it was just fluid. It didn't feel like anyone was straining, anyone was putting anyone out of their element to be able to perform a move, and it was just all four of them. Hats off to them because they were fantastic in this match.
they were. Just showed you how underrated Luger was. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
very.
He was very, very good. And Wyndham to a degree as well, to
Yeah.
be honest. I mean, there's an argument there.
And
Uh,
regarding Lex, you'll find out on you'll have, if you've seen our previous video, you'll know exactly why he's one of our top US champions.
You will. Exactly that. Yes, you certainly will. We go from there to the main event of the evening. Ric Flair, Nature Boy, of course, the world champion, kind of Flair country, North Carolina as well,
Yeah,
against the Stinger. So we got the Tom Miller, the ring announcer, said it was going to have a 45-minute time limit. There must be a winner, and we had judges at ringside. We had Gary Juster, who was a board member of the NWA, Sandy Scott, who was a former NWA wrestler, Patty Mullen as some penthouse pet of the year. I thought it was a
yeah,
dog at first when it was the pet of the year. I was gonna
yeah. They're not Playboy. They're not like Penthouse. It's like Playboy. They're not covers, but they are like Playmate of the Month and Playmate of the Year.
yeah,
They've not got the front cover, but they've been given some title.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly that. Ken Osmond, an actor, to Leave It to the Beaver, and
Yeah.
Jason Harvey for the Wonder Years were the
Yeah.
judges. And
He was
I have to admit,
covering all bases.
yeah, I mean, one of them looked like a school teacher. One of them looked like he'd just finished school, and then you had like, I mean, there was it was a motley crew, wasn't it?
Well, well, earlier on, the guy from the new Leave It to Beaver had a 2 minute segment with Jim Cornette
Yeah.
talking about how was your mum and this, that, and the other, and it's just like, what? Where does this come from? Is this just an American thing, or am I not getting it?
It was nuts. It was
Yeah.
crazy. I love I call them pantomime boos that Flair got when he come out because it was like we're gonna boo you just because we're
Oh
meant to
yeah.
boo you. It weren't like heat that everyone obviously because to say it was Flair country. Sting was like in silver. Didn't like his music though. I have
No,
to.
no, it's not. It don't. It was almost as if it was like we need to get you some music before we get you some licensed music.
Yeah,
We'll get you some stock music. But
it's like some
um,
rock music.
yeah, it was Bleach Blonde Sting versus Bleach Blonde Flair.
Yes. And Flair was about 95 when this come
Yeah,
out, right? Anyway, yeah, it was Bleach Blonde Sting, Bleach Blonde Flair, Sting face painted black, red, and blue with this one. Flair, obviously, no face paint for Rick. Well, he wore a mask later on down the line in WCW. But Michael, what was your overall thoughts of this one?
loved it. Obviously, it. We went to a no finish, which I thought was actually a good way of finishing it. Now, obviously, it said on the commentary when you were watching this that if this match went shorter, there were people in the back waiting to come out to wrestle. But I mean, as you said, the pantomime booms, every boos to Flair. Everyone was behind Sting. Um, Flair doing his thing of taking his time, but especially when you're doing a 45-minute match, you don't want to rush. So you've got to make sure you get all the hits in, but make sure that you're not tired. So both Sting and Flair took turns in um, taking control of the match, which is the right way to do it, especially if you're going to go for a match over half an hour. And yeah, I absolutely again with the other two matches with both tag team matches and this one, I were soaked all of it in, sucked into it, and it kept me gripped all the way through. I absolutely loved it. What
Flair
about
hit a
you?
move off the top rope, ladies and gentlemen. That was one of the things he did. There's a visual during this match that I think would be captured and it would be all everywhere. There was a bit near the end where Sting's face paint has come off. Flair's chopping him and hitting him, and Sting's just like, ah, and it
Yeah,
just
he's stingering up.
he's stingering up. But it's just the visual, and then Flair gets on his knees and he's like this, and it's just that's an incredible visual. If this was to make Sting or Sting's parade of this is Sting's, I would say coming out match in a sense of, this was the bit where Flair wanted him to be, didn't want him to win the championship, but want him to basically prove to everybody that he could eventually defeat Ric Flair
Yeah,
for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's exactly what they did. And the funny thing was, and this is like um, the judges, they only read four out of the five, no, three out of the judges' scorecards. There was a because obviously after the 45 minutes, they go to the judges. So I was like, oh,
yeah,
great, it's got to be a winner.
yeah.
Fantastic news. And then it come up with one of them, Gary Jester went Sting, Patty Mullen went Flair,
Flair.
and Sandy Scott went draw. I was like,
Yeah,
where's the other two?
yeah,
What's going on here? Why are we not like why anyway? But it mad. I mean, Jesus, that match though. I mean, if you actually want to do psychology in wrestling and you're interested in learning how it all works, and you need a match to watch from likely that, go and watch that one.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's everything about it, the workings out of it, as you know, like, why doesn't he do this? Why doesn't he do that? Why has he gone for this? Why has he gone for that? It's all leads up, as you said. They're doing moves to set up a move in 6 times in the future,
Yeah.
and it was just, as I said, as you said, it was slow paced to start with, but
Hmm.
you can't go full whack for 45 minutes if that is what you're going to do, because even if you are in your peak, you are going to start to get tired.
Yes.
Um, and whatever to start with, whatever Flair did, Sting had a counter for it. Um, After Sting's domination of it, dominating, it was Flair's turn to take charge, sending Sting into the turnbuckle. Then he signature knee to the face like he does. As you said, we saw the bit where Sting stinged up. um, Flair showing why he's the dirtiest player in the game. Um, both using the figure four.
Yeah.
Um, and as we all know, Ric Flair used the figure four as his signature move. Sting using it to counter him, so which they emphasised a lot, saying he's using his own move. How is he going to get out of this? Pretty easy, but he is going to get out of it. Um, then we got to the 40-minute mark where we saw everyone starting to come into their own. We saw numerous two counts in the last 5 minutes, and as you said, the ending, which saw Flair retain, but as you said to start with, Sting's stock rised in this,
Yeah.
and without actually being there to watch weekly TV and pay-per-views at that time, it wouldn't surprise me if this match was, as you were just saying there, would be part of his video package to
Mm.
show exactly why Sting is going to be a future champion and a future in this business. And I absolutely loved this. I loved the match from top to bottom. The psychology was beautifully done from both, and I thought it was just spot on.
It really, really was. The only reason, and I gave it a 4.75, and I had to take a quarter point off just because of the judges not
Yeah,
being, we didn't get the full scorecard. And I just felt that for me, I have no problem with it going 45 minutes. That was absolutely fine. The match quality was out of this world. We had everything that we needed on it. But I just felt that bit at the end just took it away from me. Even if they could have done all five, two of them voted Flair, two voted Sting, and one voted draw, that would have been enough for the five. I would have given it a five
yeah,
star based on that. But because they didn't have those last two judges' scorecards, for me, it just took the edge off it, and I couldn't get it
yeah.
over to five for that reason.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think in the dying minutes, where in the dying seconds, we saw um, Sting putting the sharpshooter,
Scorpion
or
Deathlock.
my apologies, yeah, Scorpion Deathlock. My brain just went dead then. On Flair. If it had finished at a 45-minute mark there, then fine. As you said, I'd have given it a 5. I just think against with the not as bad as the tag match, but I just thought the judging side of it, which purely it was all a marketing to put what was
Yeah.
on purely what was on TBS to showcase that. I think if that wasn't a thing, I think it would have just gone to a no finish, whether the time run out or they didn't get the 3 count in time, or it didn't kick out, or tap or anything like that. I think that would have hit a 5. But I agree with you. I'll agree with you on the 4.75. If it
Yeah.
weren't for that last little bit, it'd have been 5 out of 5. But it was still a fantastic match.
Oh, it really, really was wonderful to watch, and a great visit down memory lane for the first week. I haven't decided yet what the next one is going to be, but we'll definitely move on. I think we'll do another WCW one. I'll try and find some WWE. I'm sure there's some WWE ones and ECW ones around, but I'll try and I'll find out. I'll have a look at I'll have a look at maybe look at the chronologue of order and see what comes next, and maybe follow it on with the next pay-per-view from there. But look, out of 5, this one I'm going to give I'm going to give the pay-per-view as a whole 3.5 out of 5, and it sounds pretty short considering where we've just been taking it. I felt like the Dusty match, I just felt it was a little bit of a letdown considering what it was meant to be. And the other reason I'm going to give it a bit one, there was no women's matches on the card. I know women's wrestling wasn't prevalent in the
Yeah,
80s, but I still think there's something. I know we had Precious kicking off with Jimmy Carvin at the start, but I just felt as if that for me was a bit of a letdown. But in terms of wrestling quality, I don't think there's much wrong at all with
no,
that. In terms of the quality of what we watched was great.
no. As you said, the quality was there. The only reason we didn't give it 5 out of 5 on everything was, like as you said, the judging, or potentially like the ending for the tag team match
Yes.
with JJ Dillon with a chair,
Yeah.
and maybe the screwy finish for the TV championship. But
Mm.
ultimately, for my first time watching it, um, again, it was free TV. It was about an hour and a half, an hour, 2 hours long, which was quite long for that time, because pretty much TBS, and at the time they would only show like an hour and a half of
Yep.
wrestling. So on free TV. So I really enjoyed this as our first outing on the um, hitting the turnbuckle vault of wrestling. So yeah, good choices that. I enjoyed it. Thank you for
No, no
suggesting
problem. It
that.
was great. So we're going to take about a week's break. It is Easter at time of recording, and we do have lives and families outside of to a degree. We might not like to admit it, but we do. So we're going to take a week off. But when we get back, we're going to do another top 10 on our way back. But we'll have another subject of from the vault to come. But our next top 10 is going to be the top 10 cruiserweights. And ladies and gentlemen, I have breaking news. Dave has done a list. Oh my God. Yes, Dave has got his list. And yeah, we'll see. When he said to me, I've done my list, Adam, but I've not included anyone from the last campaign of the Cruiserweights. I was like, Jesus, here we go. It's going to be fun. So we'll be back with that, obviously, in the week or so's time. So enjoy that, Michael. I thoroughly enjoyed going back through memory lane with
Yeah,
you.
me
Enjoy
too.
the
I've
rest.
enjoyed it. Yeah,
Enjoy the
yeah.
rest of your Easter and get that list ready for after Easter. We'll be back with a cruiserweight titles coming up on the show. What can I say? I'm going to keep things brief. AEW is coming up on the show very, very soon, and potentially the most controversial interview that we've ever done on the Hit in the Turnbuckle podcast will be
Ooh,
coming
very
up.
interesting.
Uh, yeah, we may even have they're talking about the subject of this interview. He may come up in one of the vaults that we will end up doing in in the future. But yeah, it's yeah. I'll leave it at that. We'll leave you guessing until then. But you can follow Michael. Where can they follow you guys on? Follow you on social?
So on Instagram, you can find me at Wrestling with the Bear. you can also find me on X at Jolly the Bear, and also I cover socials for a different company called Johnna's Podcast. You can find me on X under that Johnna's P Podcast network, and the Instagram as well for Johnna's network as well. We post the best in British wrestling, whether that be events coming up, podcasts like these ones that we're doing today, questions, which I've just posted on the socials, which is a Turnbuckle Arms. So it's like a virtual pub or a bar tavern, and where I every so often will post a question. So the latest question I've posted right now is, with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes coming up at WrestleMania, should or will Randy Orton take that championship off of him? And if you see this video, I'd really like to find out your thoughts on that, and you can go see him on my socials. So, and as always, check out everything that Adam, me, and the team do at hitting the turnbuckle.
Yeah, HTT buckle everywhere. We'll be at Ignite again. The Turnbuckle Championship will be on the line. Chris Aries makes his first defense against Denzel Mack on May the 3rd, bank holiday. Also on that card, Joe Lando, Tommy Tanner for the Ignite Championship. Aluna goes one-on-one with Violet Knight, who makes her Ignite wrestling debut. Two of the most up-and-coming youngsters in the country, Archie Payne and Regan Blade, go one-on-one in the breakout division. There'll be more matches by the time this goes out. Maybe the full card will be out. Who knows? And the fallout from the Rebellion CJ Carter, well, I don't know what you'd call it, escapade from the last show, which I end up getting involved in for my sins, I'm sure. Tommy Kyle versus Corey McRae versus Jaden Williams as well. How can I forget that barn burner of a match? That's coming up. 96 Eventbrite, get your tickets. They are limited already at time of recording, so God knows what they're going to be like in a couple of weeks when this is out. But make sure you do. Michael, enjoy the rest of your Easter. I will see you fresh on the other side. Don't eat too many eggs. And actually, you can eat as many chocolate eggs as you want, because I'm going to. I won't be getting.
Always, it's been a pleasure. And again, as always, to everyone else, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you on another episode of the From the Vault on Hitting the Turnbuckle. But until then, everybody, buckle down, stay safe. Goodbye.